jump on into the next game. It looks like people in chat are clamoring for StarCraft.
Absolutely. Did you read those bios already?
I have not read the bios.
Let's read those bios
right now. Yes. So ZeeZ is going to be sending out Celium. Celium is a recently acquired player for ZeeZ, coming from XTA. He's an aggressive Zerg player, and he's known specifically for his Zerg versus Terran, where he plays with very few Mutalisks, but favors Lings and Banelings mostly. He plays as a man with something to prove, and ZeeZ expects that he will be a valuable player for them. His opponent this evening is going to be NoDice Gaming's Cowman, and Cowman is a Protoss player from the United States. He plays for NoDice Gaming's Academy, and he was in the WCS Challenger for 2014, and is considered to be very macro-oriented.
Yeah, we've seen that actually out of him. It was a very, very macro-oriented game we saw last time, but jumping in is going to be the map Galaxy Viridian, so we are going to get this party started, jumping into game number 4 with a score of 2-1 in favor of ND Game in the upper right-hand corner, representing ND Game and Orange and Protoss. It is Cowman.
And in the bottom left-hand corner, representing Team RIP ZeeZ and another purple Zerg, it is Celium.
So this is a huge map, Gallegation.
It is very large.
Celium saying he doesn't like it, and Cowman saying neither does he. So at least it's even in that both players hate it. But I mean, this map is pretty, man.
It is quite pretty to look at.
If you look at the actual graphic of the whole thing, it's pretty eye candy all over the place. Last season, honestly, I hated it at first, but my favorite map ended up being that goofy beach one. I can't remember what it was called now, but some of the most epic games we had ended up being on that silly map.
Yeah, that was a great map. I'm trying to recall now too. I wanted to for a second. I almost said
Guangali Beach.
Bay.
Guangali Beach, I think is what it was.
Guangali Beach. I knew it was something. Goa sound.
But it's going to be not crazy openings here from either player. Cowman going to be going with the in-base 1 gateway, probably before expansion is what he typically ends up doing. Drone headed out here before pool goes on, going to put out a hatchery. So, I mean, obviously this map being huge, both players recognize that and are going for the macro type openings as really it's honestly quite hard to do a lot of super early aggression because you end up being really open to those counter aggressions also, given that it's so far away, unless it's some kind of all-in crazy cheese proxy, which I don't think either player is expecting.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard to do those types of things too, as well, just because you don't immediately know where your opponent is. You know, Cowman is now asking if it's cross spawns. It is not cross spawns. They could spawn anywhere on this map.
Yep.
And so you really have to figure out where your opponent is. And I mean, sometimes we've seen kind of those blind try and proxy type cheeses, but those are just, I mean, sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you're just in the wrong place.
Honestly, one of the most interesting things I've seen on this matchup on these big maps is the proxy hatch. Or the hatch at the natural expansion of the Protoss, and if it's, I mean, even sometimes when it's been scouted, it's still been pretty dangerous. It's not, I wouldn't call it a high percentage play, but it's definitely not a low percentage play from what we've seen so far this season also.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a risky play though. It's never just a straight up go. And I've seen it. I mean, it kind of plays out either way in terms of sometimes you feel like you're ahead, sometimes you're clearly behind after doing that. But it is fun to watch if nothing else.
Yeah, indeed. And it looks like pool is going to be down, still no gas, so maybe a third hatch here out of Celium. We'll see what he ends up deciding to do. He is starting to populate his natural expansion while the probe of Cowman is working its way down to the lower right base to see if Celium is there, and he is not, so he's going to continue to wander his way around. Looks like a Ling working its way out here. Is this going to try and intercept the probe? Not quite sure. I don't think they're going to end up running into each other, but the Overlord of Celium is working its way into the main base of Cowman, so he's going to get eyes on what is going on here pretty quickly.
It looks like those Lings did see that probe coming out and are on the warpath to take that out.
And those Lings do have a hard time chasing down probes. Looked like that one was like trying to make it dive there. I don't know if you saw that, but and missed. But the probe is going to sacrifice its life running right into 2 giant queens. I mean, I can imagine the perspective of a probe. And walking up to a queen would probably be just about as intimidating as walking up to a colossus for those tiny little probes. So, sad day for him.
So 3 gateways are in production. They will be finishing up shortly along with that warp gate. And it looks as though that sentry going ahead and shooting that tickle cannon away at that overlord.
Yeah, that overlord is just laughing out loud. It cannot even stand it. It's just going to laugh itself right to death here in a second. Oh, it actually went from red to orange back to red with the... oh, I almost thought that he got him. Oh my gosh, got away with 7 hit points. It would have been slightly more than 7 hit points if he would have not stopped there for a second, but a probe and a zealot working their way down the left side of the base, but it is going to be spotted, I believe, by this overlord. Yep, he's going to see everything that's going on, so this is not going to be all that sneaky. Zealots warping in a little bit farther away, and but I mean, Cilium's overlord placement here is pretty fantastical, so he can see everything coming across the map.
Yeah, it looks like he was actually anticipating this attack to come on the right-hand side of his natural. He is forced to reposition his spine crawlers now to prepare for this incoming attack. But there's really not a whole lot else here besides Zerglings and these spine crawlers. He's going for a very early lair, and so he's going to have to hold this off with very limited amounts of units. These 3 queens are going to be very important in this engagement.
Not enough for a transfuse out of any of them yet, but there are really only zealots and a militia core here at this point, so I don't feel like they can push into 3 queens and 2 spine crawlers either.
And yeah, Cowman is not wanting to take that fight.
So it's actually kind of smart here. I like what he's doing. He's kind of pushing around to the other side, and I'm not thinking these overlords are catching it, but kind of pushing more towards that third base, which isn't as set up or established, and maybe able to get a little bit more damage here done, especially since the creep hasn't made it there yet, but he's moving into those Zerglings in. There are a lot of them. Looks like they're going to be able to get us around here eventually to trap at least a few of those zealots, and Queen's going to shoot their needle cannons at him and make their day not all that great. But speed not even started yet for Cilium, so he's going to be having a lot of slowlings here for a decent bit of time. But Void Rays and Zealots here, actually really one of my favorite things I've seen so far in PvZ this season. I like this Zealot Void Ray push on the third base to kind of try and take it out, but Spire going to be the choice here.
Yeah, and very... I mean, look at this amount of minerals that he has, too. He's almost at 1,500 minerals now, putting down a third base, but he just doesn't have a ton of gas at the moment and playing very just bare bones here.
Yeah, just barely starting to mine gas, only just almost 100 mined out of the natural expansion here, so it seems like if you're going for a quick layer and a very quick Spire there, you'd be getting that gas a little sooner, but this is a really scary moment for the Zerg and Cilium in this case, with looks like going to be 9 Zealots working their way towards the natural expansion with the Mothership Core. So this is a much better fight given 9 Zealots and 3 Queens with the Slowlings. Going to be able to zone out a little bit here. Nice time warp going down and going to get the surround on those Queens just like the Zerglings did on the Zealots, trying to get a Spine Crawler in here to support.
Yeah, one of the Queens does fall, a second one going down now, and the Zealots are starting to fall, though. The Zerglings getting the job done along with that Spine Crawler. But it looks like that engagement actually freed up enough supply to be able to make some Mutalisks. Cilium was supply blocked there for a moment as he had lost another Overlord right when that Spire finished, so he is now making 5 Overlords, realizing, crap, I saved up all that larva but didn't have the supply to make all the Mutalisks that I wanted to make. So instead is going for those upgrades.
Yeah, Cilium does not know about that Spire yet either, so he's continuing to put down more Stargates. He put down a second one here and go for those Void Rays, which is kind of scary considering that there are Mutas coming in the field. Void Rays not so good against Mutalisks, especially with the low numbers. So I feel like he needs to figure out about that Spire here pretty quick and start pumping out a few Phoenix to support these Void Rays.
Although he does have the hallucinated Phoenix, and one does go immediately over that Spire. Does see it?
Oh, he actually canceled 2 Void Rays and switched them to Phoenix.
Yeah, that's a good play by him on that particular call. The Mutalisks are actually, yeah, they're right in the mineral line now, trying to go on one of those starports, but there is enough there to chase them away.
Looking at the units lost, it's exactly even almost for both of these players. Cowman pushing in there and getting quite a bit done, but not really putting a whole lot of long-lasting hurt on his opponent. He does have a nice wall here, which is going to keep these Zerglings out. Still, Slowling speed is just about to finish up. +1 attack is coming down for those Mutalisks as well as they are pushing into the third base.
Yeah, they were only really able to take out that cannon that was there. So not a whole lot going down there, but the Zerglings are continuing to work on these gateway walls as the rest of the army is forced to try and deal with these Mutalisks that are now getting in and taking out a couple of gas workers.
He does have +1 attack on these Zealots here, so they are able to deal with these Zerglings a little bit better, but yeah, the Mutalisks starting to do a little bit of ravaging here, but 4 Phoenix should be able to at least kind of hold this off here for a little bit. Oh no, but he actually just got the Mutalisks right on top of him.
Yeah, and I'm surprised he wasn't actually targeting the Phoenix. The Phoenix were kind of not microing, and man, he's going to lose all those Mutalisks though, isn't he?
I hate walking right into a photon overcharge. That's no fun.
Oh, but this is going to be a hard switch into looks like swarm hosts now.
Oh, and, goody galgation.
Yeah. So going up into hive as well. And,
honestly, I think that's a pretty smart play here. I mean, given what Cowman has, it's Void Rays and Phoenix, and Phoenix can be good at sort of going in and picking up some of the swarm hosts, but it's gonna. And also, it's gonna be a really long tanky push along the map for Celium here, but he's gonna have to get a lot of pokey harassment work done here, but he does have a lot of these Zerglings going to be going in, but still doesn't have any upgrades on him, so just not able to do a lot of damage against these upgraded Zealots and Cannons.
Yeah, and that lane run by, what you really wanted is to try and pull Cowman back there, but he did not take the bait, and so now we see Celium in a similar kind of bare bones, scary position as playing it as a defensive Zerg that's trying to hard tech into something.
Yeah, and I mean, back with that, there's about 20 or so Zerglings, 3 Zealots cleaned it up, is what it looked like. 3 Zealots and 2 Cannons cleaned up that entire push, did not force Cowman to slow down at all. Now he's going to be pushing into the 4th base. There are 5 Swarm Hosts here, but to be honest, it's not really going to be a huge problem. There are sentries here with a lot of energy, so they're going to be able to hold off these Locusts, and Void Ray is going to be able to end up taking this down and just kind of pull back.
Yeah, but that swarm host number is growing substantially. 9 are about to finish here, and there are currently 11 on the field, so this is getting real scary really quickly, and it looks like Robo is immediately going down. But, I mean, he's got a long path to Colossus at this point. He didn't even have a robotics facility to begin with. Nice
pickup there by Cowman, picking up that drone only microseconds before it was to transform into a hatchery. Now he's going to be coming through, seeing the infestation pit, seeing the hive. Even though hive isn't required, it is going to be a pretty common here to get the upgrades that are going along with this. Now picking up a lot of drones in natural expansion, not really a lot of static defense here to deal with these Phoenix, just getting a ton of drone kills. This is really going to slow down this high-tech push for Celium.
Yeah, it looks like he's getting an Infestor out now as well, but he's getting his Zerg flying attack level 2, so I think that he's trying to bait out the Colossus and then do another hard tech switch.
These Overlords, he's losing almost all of his Overlords here.
Yeah, that is not the place that you want them when there's a lot of Phoenix. I almost wonder if he didn't quite properly prepare for forcing his opponent, or at least baiting his opponent at the Phoenix. There is that Infestor, but it didn't get anything done.
Locusts are doing quite a bit of damage here at the 3rd base. Did clear out all of the defensive-y type buildings here. Enduring Locust is complete, so these Locusts are going to be lasting quite a while. Going to be taking out the Nexus here, it looks like, but now moving back across the map are the Phoenix. So,
oh no!
All the Swarm Hosts.
Oh, and neither of them were looking.
Oh
neither
no!
of them were paying attention.
Wow, he could have picked off quite a few Swarm Hosts there, as there was really nothing to sort of back those up. It's actually a little bit risky to send those Swarm Hosts that far out of position with no backup.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you're exactly right here. They don't have any anti-air support here, and frankly, yeah. Now the Phoenix, if they wanted to, could just kind of camp on top of those Swarm Hosts and wait for them to unburrow.
Yeah, he did move back here and get a round of Locusts out. Now he's moving back up, and those Phoenix are hanging right on by, and it's no secret where they're at here. But wow, this is interesting.
Yeah, those Phoenix, I mean, he can't really afford to keep them idle, but I still think that, I mean, with this kind of, slow progression forward for Celium, he could get a lot of liftoffs with those. And
I mean, eventually what I think is going to be end up determining this game here is the upgrades. And look at the upgrades for Cowman. He has +3 weapons that is about to finish. He already has +2 weapons and +2 air done as well. So no armor upgrades, but he's going to be doing high damage, especially since Celium does not really have any anti-air right now. And there are 15 Corruptors on the way, but he already has Void Rays on the field, and we all know that, what does it look like here? It looks like he's got about 7 Void Rays with more on the way, are going to stack up against those Corruptors quite easily.
Yeah, so the there's an observer now with those Phoenix, and all the swarm hosts are being obliterated here.
All Phoenix, good unit. Well, I mean,
I don't know.
it's kind of cheeky there for him to say that, but it's also the fact that the Phoenix were, I mean, they had no contention. He had his swarm house out all by themselves. I mean, honestly, it's just asking for a unit like the Phoenix that can come along and just pick off those swarm hosts. Need some hydras, need some anything. I mean, you see a lot of players creeping across with the spore crawlers.
Right, and he's got this huge group of corruptors, but they're just not with his unit. Now they're finally moving in here to try and deal with some of these Phoenix. But look at that Void Ray count. I mean, just obliterating that base, and the corruptors trying to do what they can, but man, oh man, this is a tough engagement.
+2 air upgrade is going to be a thing here. +3 is on the way for Celium, but +3 is complete for, sorry, it's +3 ground, +2, so it is fairly even on the air front, but Void Rays take out an even number of corruptors quite easily, but looks like the prismatic alignment was already used, so it is going to be GG!
Yeah. And that's all she wrote for that.
Oh, I see. Now I know. Looks like I was looking at this game. I'm like, how is this game so long? And I was like, on my page here, I have a 26-minute game, and it ended at 21. And because we don't watch these ahead of time because we want to keep it as interesting as possibly we can for everybody. And it looks like Cowman was just like, you know what? That was a good game. I'm gonna keep playing for another 9 minutes. But good game by both players. I mean, honestly, I felt it coming the entire game. Those Phoenix were out there. They ended up dealing with the Mutalisk, and when he went for so many swarm hosts, and still with the Phoenix on the field, I was just like, he's gonna end up catching those swarm hosts with those Phoenix, and it's gonna be no fun for him.
Yeah, I liked the trajectory the game plan that Celium was having there. I liked how he was getting ready. He was getting the unit composition that could be really good. He had all the swarm hosts, and then he was getting the air upgrades, but he just didn't do it at the same time. He was just like, we're gonna get all the swarm hosts I'll ever need right now, and then we're gonna get all the corruptors I'll ever need right now. And they just did not, like, they were two separate groups that didn't happen at the same time, and they weren't able to kind of converge, so they weren't able to support each other, and so that was a little bit difficult there. And that is now going to put NoDice Gaming actually. This would be match point. They're up 3-1 against their opponents. So Rip ZeeZ is on the line here. They've really got to figure this out. They've got to come back from behind if they want to stay in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And they do have a chance to do here now as we're going to be going in.